Hello and welcome to the Too Much Time on Our Hands podcast. Thank you for joining us on the stream. If you are joining us on the stream, this is for you. Wave, everyone, just wave. Wave, wave, wave. That's enough. That's all you're getting. If you're listening to us, thank you very much for joining us as well. You are, of course, joining us for part 3, what we hope will be the final part of ranking the Bond films. We started off way back in the early days, you know, it feels like months ago that we started this with, of course, the Connery films, and we
back in the mid-2000s.
Yeah, the mid-2000s. We even shoved in, you know, the Lazenby film as well. And then we moved on to the epic Roger Moore era of camp Bond before moving on to the tormented Welshman Bond in Timothy Dalton. And now we are moving on to the suave and sophisticated Brosnan and the raw, gritty and waxed Daniel Craig era. And those, of course, are the last 8 films that we're going to be ranking, because, of course, we're not including the newest one because none of us have seen it yet. As far as I'm aware, has no one's seen it?
No, not yet.
No, not yet. But we are going to get around to that at some point, and that might change the rankings. Who knows? It might be the best Bond film we've ever seen at 3.5 hours, or however bloody long that film is. It's longer than The Irishman. So, to no further ado, let's just have a quick round the room. Let's say hello to Russ.
What's up?
Let's say hello to Duncan.
I've been expecting you.
Hello to Duncan.
Do you not think it's funny that this has taken about as long as it took the latest Bond film to come out?
Yeah,
like, it feels like we started these rankings about the same time. They said, we're going to make a new Bond film. And now...
And we were like, oh, that sounds like good content.
Yeah, exactly. We'll do this ranking that's taken 4 years. So, yeah,
we got through the Marvel movies in just two episodes, didn't we?
Yeah, it felt tight. I'm not going to lie.
And I am Tom. So,
Yes, Mr. Roberts.
With no further ado, what we do with these films is we rank them in a few categories and then we give them an overall rank. So, out of 5, we rank them out of 5 for gadgets, funny names, the theme song, and the vehicles. Oh no, that's into gadgets as well.
Vehicles and gadgets, villains, names.
Villains was the last one.
And then out of 10, how much we enjoyed
and
the
then
film.
out of 10, we rank how much we enjoyed the film.
Well done, Tom, on remembering all of that. It's
Thanks,
like
guys.
you had a voice in your head telling
Thanks.
you this.
I'll do the golf wave. Okay, there we go. Good. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to move on. Dan, I'm not going to put you under the pressure of having to go through the ranking of what we've got, everything so far to date, because I guess we can always reveal that on social media, or we can reveal that at the beginning of the next pod.
No, we'll have it done. I'll have it sorted by the end of this pod.
All right, fair dues. All right, so with no further ado, shall we dive in to the Brosnan era?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's not like Dan's accidentally deleted any of the scores or anything, so that's fine.
You said we'd done 16, right, Duncan?
So we had 2 films from Dalton, and I think we all expected at the time that Dalton was going to carry on as Bond, but the second film that he was in, unfortunately, didn't do so well at the box office. In fact, it was the lowest grossing film in the entire Bond franchise, which was actually to be outdone quite spectacularly by the next Bond film that I believe turned up. When was the first one? 91. So yeah, so about 4 or 5 years later, boom, bursting onto the scene, GoldenEye.
It did feel like there was quite a gap, didn't it? It was like it was a really big thing that Bond films were back.
It was huge, and it was with a British actor, suaver than you can shake a suave stick, covered in suave shit. Pierce Brosnan was probably one of, Roger Moore was quite a camp suave, but Brosnan was quite a manly suave, if you know what I mean. He's quite grizzled, and before this was in Mrs. Doubtfire, as far as I remember.
Yeah, he's the dad in Mrs. Doubtfire, isn't he?
Oh, is he? Well, still British, is he not, or is he Irish?
God, good lord! If he's Irish, Tom, we'll get letters.
Well, no, I mean you can be other things apart from most of us are a hodgepodge of different bloods anyway, right? We're all Anglo-Saxon, French, or German.
Yep,
pretty much. But give or take every other race that isn't that. Anyway, so
here's Brosnan, Irish actor.
Yeah,
Irish actor.
He's not British.
No. That well-known British actor, British-Irish actor. Anyway, enough of
Great
that.
start.
Enough of that. The letters are pouring in. 1995, Goldeneye. Personal, probably one of my personal favourite Bond films out of the entire franchise.
Yeah.
I fucking love this movie.
Yeah.
And a part of that is timing. Like, yeah, it came out in 1995, so I think this is the first Bond film that I saw in the cinema.
Yep.
It's like how we're the only people that think Sylvester McCoy is a decent Doctor.
Yeah.
Like
I was absolutely obsessed with the N64 game. You know, I'd watch this endlessly on VHS. I loved this movie. This is what got me into Bond, basically. Because before this, Bond had been something that popped up on a wet bank holiday weekend on ITV, and you had to stop watching it to watch the news.
this.
This was the.
No, go on then, Duncan.
No, sorry.
No, go on. You started. Keep going.
Yeah, but we started at the same time. This is
Jesus,
such great
no, we
content.
didn't. You start. Just fucking go.
All right. Yeah, like Russ, it was the big build-up because being a big Bond fan as a teenager, before that, and then just, it was all the build-up. It was like, wow, this is going to be that first one that we are able to go to the cinema. I actually went with Mark Wall. It was wonderful. But what?
Who cares?
Context. Me, I care. It's a life story. It's another one for the book. Come on.
Cool. It's the coolest fucking story I've ever heard.
You're really chuffed about this, aren't you, Tom?
I'm
You
so
know exactly
happy.
who Mark Wall is, right?
I'm so happy because I love
Yeah.
this. The more stories that I know are going into Duncan's autobiography, the happier I am.
But yeah, but it was such an exciting time.
It
What a
really
time to be
was.
alive.
It was
You just
an
ruined it. Right.
It was an explosive film.
Yeah.
I think.
Everyone was
play-
going through
I
changes
fucking
and
love
feeling
that.
exciting
Yeah.
new things.
Yeah.
The opening though, come on. That opening is
My first pube.
Oh, wait,
Yeah,
no, hang
so-
on, we're back on the film. We're back on the film.
Oh, right, sorry.
Cool, yeah.
Not pubes. Okay, so yeah, the opening of the film was.
Did you get ice cream or did you get popcorn?
Was it a big bag?
Choice. Yeah.
So
Salty
yeah,
or sweet? Or both?
fuck's
So
sake.
the opening on the dam is super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The opening on the dam is super cool. The fact that he rendezvous with a fellow 00 agent that actually gets more screen time than just appearing and then dying in a clown suit. Really, really cool. And not just the back of the head. And not only that, it was played brilliantly by Sean Bean, who is British from Sheffield. So that's fine. I can call him British. Don't if me that. He fucking is Sheffield. He is
Yorkshire,
Sheffield.
isn't he?
Sean Bean, Sheffield Bean.
He is Sheffield. I
he is
am
Sheffield.
Sheffield.
He is
Have you
Sheffield.
seen his Yorkshire tea adverts? They're really good.
Yeah. He was great, and it started off as though it was going to be like a grizzled revenge story. Bond was actually a fucking secret agent roaming around a installation with a silenced pistol, and slowly but surely, like in the perfect way that Bond films should, the story unfurled. With disaster and weapons being stolen, and the Russians were back as the big bad, and it was just excellent, and it was a great twist for the villain. A great twist for the villain. I don't think we need to flag this with spoiler warnings, but of course the villain turned out to be none other than the 006 agent, Alec
Trevelyan.
a Lian's Cossack driven to revenge because of his parents' fate at the hands of the British. They killed themselves rather than fall into the hands of the Russians, didn't they? When the British betrayed the Lian's Cossacks.
Yeah.
So great. I thought it was fabulous. And Famke Janssen is one of my favourite Bond ladies of all time. She's absolutely fantastic as Xenia Onatopp,
On the top.
which is brilliant.
Great name.
Yeah.
On the top. On the
It is a
top.
great
You
name.
know,
On the top.
Yeah.
It was great. I like Russ. Watched it over and over again. Played the video game to death. Brilliant. Superb from start to finish.
A heck of a cast as well. We already mentioned Famke Janssen, Sean Bean, but also Alan Cumming. Also Robbie Coltrane as well. Judi Dench appears in this one as well.
Yeah, it's the debut of New M.
It is. I prefer bourbon.
And
Turns around, raises an eyebrow, wins a fucking Oscar. But yeah, it's that's my own issues with Judi Dench. I'll shut up. Oscar. Look, she's raised an eyebrow.
Oh, she's
Well
amazing.
done.
She's amazing.
Well
So courageous.
We're gonna get letters, Tom.
We're gonna get letters. Yes. Anyway, yeah. So, right, let's keep this going. This is all good content, guys.
Yeah.
It's all good content.
Okay. So, do we want to start getting a ranking and then maybe
think so.
discuss gadgets? We haven't discussed gadgets yet, by the way, but we can do that as we're getting the rankings.
I think this might be one of the films where I can actually quote the gadget itself by heart. So he has when he goes to see Q, he first gets shown the BMW Z3,
Yeah,
which
with
apparently has
zero
Stinger missiles,
gadgets in it.
which apparently has Stinger missiles behind the headlights, although it never does anything cool. And
the
I think
radar.
it was one of
No, it has the radar because he
Oh.
flips it over, and as the plane's coming in, he tracks the plane and then speeds up. You think, is he going to arm the missiles? Nothing. It's only the radar.
Yeah, exactly. And it was actually, funny enough, one of the very first Z3s I think that had ever been made was given to the new Bond franchise as BMW took over from Aston
Yeah,
Martin.
this was in their unfortunate
icons.
mid-90s BMW phase, wasn't it?
Well, that's when the Beamers were everywhere. There's the pen that's armed by click, click, click 3 times.
Yeah.
Click, click, click.
With
3
that
times.
really great bit at the end with Alan Cumming spinning it round and clicking it, and you're desperately trying to count.
Give me the quotes, Natalia! Give them to me! Yeah, so good.
And how many people afterwards kept at school is like trying to do the twizzle?
Yeah, he's like twizzling around like sort of that and stuff, isn't he?
It's really fast.
He had the belt with the piton and the cable. It can hold the weight of a grown man or whatever as he says. They've got the X-ray scanning document scanning tray that gets shown.
Yeah, that's quite cool, isn't it?
Laser watch.
The laser,
Yeah, the laser
watch.
watch, obviously.
Laser watch, that was cool.
Laser.
And also the silenced Walther PPK, which became something of a trademark after that. And I remember being very excited that it was actually in the game as well, and that you could run around being quite stealthy as Bond in the video game.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was very cool. It also had the Eurocopter, which was a failed actual copter that never really quite made it into production, but was made up to be, what was it?
Took off.
It never took off. Was supposedly shielded by an from EMP pulse, which is why it made the perfect getaway vehicle for stealing the GoldenEye EMP super weapon. Yeah, quality. It was just great. Like, it was just one of those films that just really harked back to the essence of what it meant to be a Bond film.
Yeah, and a really good plot by the villain as well. So the whole, we hit London with an EMP, and it causes economic catastrophe and social collapse. It's a really good sort of update of the whole we've just hijacked some nuclear weapons shtick
But
of
first,
old.
we're going to steal all the money.
Yeah. And I have to say, Alec Trevelyan is excellent. Like Sean Bean is excellent as Alec Trevelyan as well. There's that moment where they meet in that statue park. Come off it, James. It's insulting to think I haven't anticipated your every move. And just as he's about to kill Trevelyan, the dart hits him in the head, and then they wake up in the copter. And brilliant. Anyway, sorry, Dan, we were supposed to be ranking this, weren't we?
Yeah, why not? It's fine.
Yeah. So gadgets 5 from me.
Oh,
I'm going to go 4 because it's got a fucking BMW Z3 as his car, which doesn't do anything.
The toy's good though.
Tank. And he also does get the remote detonators.
Yeah, remote mines, which then led directly into the game.
And
The agony of like seeing someone and coming up behind them, and they get the little beep 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 as you step on a proximity mine. Oh, you bastard!
You bastard!
it's got a tank.
Do you know, I think I've realised what I miss about multiplayer games, apart from being any good at them as I was with GoldenEye. So that when somebody did something really annoying to you playing GoldenEye, you could punch them in the thigh because they were sat right next to you. You can't do that on Call of Duty.
That's very
no,
true.
you also can't mow the lawn as well, which I imagine is a massive problem for you.
If they introduced multiplayer co-op on Lawnmower Simulator, I'm all over that.
I think I showed you guys this already, but the Corgi James Bond version of the BMW
It's got more
Z3
convincing gadgets in it than the actual one in the film.
Yeah.
does actually have the Stinger missile launchers behind the headlights. They do actually slot down. However,
They didn't
there
even
is
like
no-
in the QLab. If they'd just had one headlight that went zoop, and you could see the little nose cone of a missile behind of it, that would have been quite cool.
So did they just? I can't remember. Did they just say that it's got Stinger?
Yeah, he just says
and
he
behind
taps
the
the bonnet and
headlights,
goes, "Yep,
Stinger
Stinger
missiles."
missiles behind the headlights."
Do they not know how to make films? Because like as soon as you say it's got Stinger missiles, then everyone's going to go, That's
Yeah.
coming up later.
I think there just wasn't the budget for it.
Even in Spaced, they managed to arm War Bastard with not War Bastard, the fuckest uppest with little missiles that popped out the side. It makes it almost inexcusable that a multi-million-pound budget film wasn't able to make a headlight flip round, and yeah, it's crazy. But it's a 5 from me, man. Big strong 5. I love
Yeah.
that.
No, I'm going 4 for gadgets.
Going 4 as well.
I'm going 5. Bloody love the gadgets. It's a good set. Actually, yeah, I'm going 5. Yeah, I'm sticking with 5.
Does it not also earn some points for the fact that it has a fucking tank chase in it?
Yeah, I mean that's awesome. The tank chase, the bit in the satellite cradle at the end.
The thing
It's,
is, it's got the DB5.
It does at the very beginning.
It does, yeah, only at the start. In fact, that's got more gadgets in it than the Z3. It's got the wine cooler in it, hasn't it?
And she drives a Ferrari F355 Zenyatta during that, and that's a fucking badass car. That is
Yeah.
badass. Anyway,
The villain. 5 out of
Yes.
5 from me.
Yeah,
5
5
out of
from me
5
as well.
for me.
Definitely.
Alec Trevelyan and Xenia Onatop.
And
Perfect.
Olimov.
Iramov, he's more of like they're using him, aren't they? He gets offed, doesn't he?
he's the stooge. Yeah,
So, is it 5s all round?
5s all round.
It's a 5 from me.
Okay. Names. We've got Xenia on top.
You got Xenia Onatop, and that is all you need to get it a 5.
Yeah, me too.
I have to be quite. Cruel here. There are some better films with some more hilarious names, so it's going to get a 4 from me for good effort.
Cool.
It gets a 5 from me because of Xenia on the top and just the whole thing. And then it's also got Alan Cummings being a Boris, and I think that's where it starts more. I had a Boris obsession. It was like Boris.
Boris Grishenko, isn't it?
Yeah.
No, it's
Boris Grishenko it is.
It's Natalia Semyonova and Boris. Is it Boris Grishenko? Oh, I can't remember. Good. Yeah. Is it? No, Boris Grishenko, isn't it? Grishenko.
It's Grishenko, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Still gets a
Theme
4.
tune.
Oh,
5.
banger, 5. One of my
5.
favourites.
It is a banger, but there's ones we've mentioned previously, and there's a couple coming up. One, I think, coming up actually. No, couple maybe coming up that I prefer. So it's going to get a 4 from me.
I think
But so just on that point though, there can be ones that are better than this that also get a 5. But I think this is still deserving of 5.
You're trying to strong arm me into giving it a 5.
I'm just saying if you're giving it points by your preference, that would only work if there's only 5 movies.
No, I'm saying that there are several that I've given 5s to and will give 5s to. But this isn't quite as good
Okay,
as
as long
those.
as you genuinely think it only deserves a 4.
So
As long as you
Dan
can live with the
thinks
consequences.
GoldenEye the theme only deserves a 4 out of 5. Are you going to talk to
I'm
him?
so glad Duncan's back to talk to people that aren't on the podcast.
Yeah.
Let's just
It's really important. So Emma might
get
not
her on the
talk
pod
to him.
then.
She's doing references.
The title sequence is a little lackluster. It's just lots of sort of CGI.
We totally should have done
backgrounds.
points for title sequence. Start again.
So, back to the beginning. Week 1.
Okay, so how did you guys all give the theme tune 5s? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did.
Okay, cool. I still don't feel bad.
It's a 3 from me.
It's a 2 now.
It's a 2 from me. It's a 1 from me.
Okay, so how much did we like the film? That's what we're on. Oh, we've got one more, or is that it?
Name. Oh no, we did names.
We did gadgets,
we've done them.
names,
We've
we've done
done them.
villains,
Theme song, yeah.
Enjoy
theme
it.
song, write the theme tune, sing the theme tune.
Yeah, now it's overall.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean 10.
It's 10 out of 10.
This is a 9 out of 10 for me.
It's a 9 out of 10 for me as well. So it's
Acceptable.
38. Yeah. Oh, I've got to do some pretty big maths here, guys. Thanks.
Oh, it'd be a lot easier if you had like a computer in front of you or something, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Or a calculator. Or had done any preparation.
Oh, well, you guys just threw me off there, so I've got to start again. So we got 18 for one of them. Can't remember which one. This would be better if I remembered them. 19 plus 19. No, plus. No. Oh,
This is all good stuff.
interesting.
This is all good-
Interesting.
Dan's not doing some numbers.
my lowering the my score on the theme tune might have actually affected things.
Fair dues.
Okay, cool. Did well.
So,
Yeah.
moving on from GoldenEye,
Yeah.
we enter the next film in 1997, just 2 years later,
Yeah.
which obviously the title is quite funny because it was 2 years, but this is obviously Tomorrow Never Dies. The difficult second album came out, and personal opinion, it's not the worst. It's not the worst Brosnan Bond film, because there's definitely a worse Brosnan Bond film.
There's two more.
But it's got some hammy bits. It seemed to go a bit funny, and I have to say it has one of the least impressive Bond cars ever. The BMW 750i is not a great car.
It's like a classic sales rep car.
Yeah, it's the kind of
probably
thing you
would
do
be the
expect a
sort
rep
of thing
to
that
do.
a secret agent would actually drive, as opposed to the most attention-grabbing car you've ever seen.
It was a wee bit disappointing, but I quite like the 7 Series. I also like the fact that it was remote control.
Yeah, driving
That
it
was
with his
awesome.
Nokia communicator was very cool.
Yeah, it did also have the it dropped a load of cats, like the little spiky sharp
Caltrops.
bits. Cantrip, yeah, was it? What are they called?
Cantrip.
Caltrops.
Caltrops. Blop. They are, yeah, not cantrips. That's someone else.
Yeah.
And it had, it's got like toughened glass, hasn't it? So people can't get it, and it electrocutes people that try and fiddle with it, stuff like
And
that.
it's got a little wire cutter. The BMW badge raises up, and it's got a wire cutter, which,
Yeah.
ironically, amazingly, coincidentally, is exactly the same height as a bit of wire that gets in his way. So it just pops out, cuts through that. Amazing. How brilliant. Bond, always the lucky one. But also, it's got a largely forgettable enemy in Elliot Carver,
Elliot
the
Carver,
media
yeah.
mogul.
I get
great
what they were
actor
trying
as
to
well.
do there. It's obviously he's meant to be like a Murdoch type character, isn't he?
Yeah.
Manipulating world events to suit his media agenda.
But I feel like they just sort of had to have a boat, a stealth boat in there. You know, it's like they had a stealth copter in the first film, and then they were like, stealth
Yeah.
car? No, let's save that for the next film after that. Stealth boat.
But the thing
Boat.
is, I really like the stealth boat because also that is based in a bit of reality because the Swedish Navy obviously have one that I think, well, obviously the US do. The French Navy then were testing, this is many years later, but they were testing a stealth drone boat. It was the coolest thing I've ever seen. Like we're on a boat, we've got radar. You can see this boat. You can't see on the radar. It was awesome. You could, if you zoomed in, you could see the wake only, or the little support vessel near it because they were just doing tests. But it was this, like, that's a stealth boat. They said, yeah, it's meant to be a drone boat. So, I mean, it's actually quite a nice case of Bond actually preempting a wee bit of the real world. And that was,
it's
for
a
me,
cool
that
ass
makes it really
boat.
cool.
Well, it's the latest generation. I mean, the Americans have had spy vessels of some description for decades and decades. I mean, there was that one that wasn't a very good spy vessel and was actually caught by the North Koreans and turned into a propaganda vessel, which was a stealth ship of some sort that was sort of like bristling with listening devices and stuff. So it's it's cool. It's a cool looking thing. But yeah, it's just, it's that whole trying to instigate a war between Britain and China, manipulating the mass media and sort of stuff. I think one of the biggest redeeming features I initially thought was Terry Hatcher, straight out of the Lewis and what's it called? The
Lewis and Clark.
Lewis and Clark.
Lewis and Clark?
Lewis and Clark. That's something
Lois-
different.
Lois and Clark.
Lois and Clark.
Lois
Not
and
Lewis
Clark.
and Clark. Lois. Yes, it's something.
Yeah, Lois and Clark, the Superman series. Like she was hot property at the time, and sadly, met her end very quickly in that film because, of course, her and Bond were an item before, and she was, bewitched by his bewitching ways, and then Elliot Carver finds out and then kills her, and it's a bit of a waste because I thought she was a great Bond lady,
Yeah.
but then she was replaced by the badass Chinese secret agent Wei Lin, who I thought was actually really good, but is ultimately amongst the other Bond ladies, I think, rather forgettable, which is a bit of a shame because I think she was quite a badass character.
Yeah, she was really cool. It's a bit of a shame that her and Bond actually end up getting it on, because there was no like hint of that sort of chemistry between them. It's more just like, oh, this is the bit at the end of the film where I'm floating in a boat waiting to be rescued. So yeah, we bang now. That's just what we do.
So let's do it. Do what? Nothing.
I've seen that bit referred to as Bond's sex raft, because he's always banging in a life raft. Like, Elliot Carver's big plan is to trigger this war to sell newspapers, isn't it? Like, that is literally his goal.
He wants broadcasting rights in China, and he believes that by sparking that war, he's going to be the only major news outlet with the first stories, because, of course, he's the one that's instigating the entire conflict. So he'll be the first man on the scene, if you like.
It seems a bit like...
Weird one. Very selfish.
Yeah.
Well, it's all about power, isn't it? He wants to be the power behind China.
Unlimited power!
Quite like the bits where he's standing around with his wireless keyboard back when that was like an incredible technology.
Yeah, but he's like,
I'm walking around the room with it.
Yeah, he's walking around going, and he's so clearly just whacking some keys. Like, not even the number of clicking sounds corresponds to the number of letters appearing.
Oh, I need the mouse. Oh, hang on, I need to get back to the desk.
There's quite a cool bit when a henchman gets punched into a newspaper printing press and like gets mangled, and all the newspapers come out with a big red streak down them. That's quite cool.
The key henchman, Stamper, and then his Dr. Kaufman, the torturing doctors. That's kind of quite.
Yeah.
Actually, putting it together, it's really unnecessary. It's like, why would you have such a thing? But at the time, it sort of makes sense.
Yeah. It was ultimately, I think, just a little flawed. But after GoldenEye, fuck me. I mean, it's a hard act to follow. That's a really hard act to follow.
Yeah. Some really good bits though, like the rooftop motorbike chase. That's pretty cool.
The bit with the helicopter.
Yeah. Jumping down the side of the building.
The remote control car bit.
Yeah, I do enjoy that remote control car bit.
Yeah.
I can't remember all the gadgets. I mean, apart from the
Should we,
remote control car, and then
there's a lot of stuff in his phone. He's got there's a fingerprint scanner in his phone and things like that. And this was when the idea of having your phone do stuff was cool and innovative and new.
There's a rickshaw defense mechanism. This was used to knock out an enemy. A button is pressed, and upper part of the bike-based rickshaw, which appears to be parked, ejects, knocking out the target. Mm-hmm. A dragon flamethrower.
This is that's all stuff when he's back in her sort of hideout, and there's like a bunch of stuff lying around. He's got that quite good one. He's talking about, I'll send a message through to Beijing, and he opens up the computer, and it's got like 25,000 keys with all the letters of the Chinese. Well, it's not an alphabet, is it? The Chinese characters on it. And he's like, okay, yeah, maybe you should do this.
On second thoughts.
Oh, it has self-inflating tyres as well. The Beamer.
Oh yeah. Okay, are we ready to give this one some numbers?
Let's give it some numbers. Okay.
Oh, it's got a mobile telephone in this one as well.
Amazing. Mobile, you say?
Yeah.
As in, it can be taken from place to place?
Yes, an Ericsson, in fact.
Ah.
Mm-hmm.
Let's, okay, so, gadgets. It gets a 3 from me. It's air.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go 3. The car's rubbish, but has got some good stuff in it, and you can drive it with your phone, which is quite cool.
It's 3 from me as well.
Yeah, it hasn't got a lot of gadgets, so yeah, 3. But I do love the stealth. It's mainly the stealth boat that does it.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. And a wireless keyboard. I mean, come on.
I'm writing the news as I speak to you, Bond. News. News.
Obituary.
James Bond. MI6. 007. Everyone seems to fucking know his code name anyway.
Yeah. And his name.
It's probably because he had it on a camera once.
He's about as inconspicuous as a Jedi trying to hide from the Empire.
Dan, we're not talking about a Casino Royale theme tune. We're talking about a far superior theme tune right now, because we're about to talk about the Tomorrow Never Dies theme tune.
Well, let's do the Tomorrow Never Dies theme tune.
Tomorrow Never Dies!
Fucking awful.
Sheryl Crow.
It's Sheryl Crow, isn't it?
Yeah. I like Sheryl Crow as well, but
every
this is
day is Tomorrow Never
dies. If it makes you, tomorrow never dies.
Yeah, I'm
All
going
I wanna
2
do
for the
is
for the song.
never die.
Just like tomorrow,
Tomorrow,
we'll never
it never
die.
die.
It never dies. The slide guitar.
I wish it was that, if I'm honest.
Yeah,
It's getting a whopping 1 from me. Fuck
yeah
this
it's a 1. It's a 1.
Yeah.
2 for
Sorry,
me.
Cheryl. I do love your bohemian ways, but not on a Bond film.
No.
2.
2. And you
I
go
mind it.
2.
2.
But I miss,
yeah.
I can't sing it. But don't mind it.
We just sang it perfectly, so
Yeah.
now you know. Yeah.
Villain.
Villain.
He's a 2 for me.
2 from me as well.
Yeah, 2. It's not a grand enough plan.
Which is a shame because Jonathan Pryce is fucking awesome. So
I'm going to say 3. I quite like it. It was because of the Murdoch and Maxwell kind of thing that he's kind of based on. And especially because they frame it as a suicide on a boat relates directly to Robert Maxwell,
it does.
which is
Yeah.
hilarious.
Good one. Yeah, that's well spotted.
And we're not
That's good.
mentioning that anymore about
Yeah.
that right now.
Sorry, Rupert. Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. Yeah. So what we got left? Names.
3.
Carver.
They're kind of middle of the road. They're just normal human names.
Well,
2.
Stamper and Kaufman are pretty good.
Yeah, true. I might have it to 3 then. Duncan might have convinced me there.
Yeah, it's a 2 from me.
Yeah, 3. I think I went for 2 and then I've convinced myself.
Okay, then in the film,
4.
Where did I rank it?
I gave it a 3. I really don't like this film, and I can go lower.
Yeah, it was at 14 on my list, which puts it firmly in. I think it's the 5 out of 10. 5 out of 10 bracket there. Pretty much in the middle.
I'm quite enjoying this.
I mean, it was more
Actually-
Bond. It was more Brosnan as Bond, but it wasn't particularly earth-shattering, and it was hard to up the ante against Goldeneye.
Yeah.
So what are you giving it, Russ?
4.
I'm giving it a 3. Tom.
5
Okay. And
out of
Duncan.
10.
5.
Okay then.
So, sorry.
29, 35, 44. Oh, that's not good.
The points are not enough.
No, they are not. Definitely not.
So speaking of the points being not enough, being sung like that, hot on the heels, 2 years later. So Brosnan's Bond actually managed to pump these films out with surprising regularity to start with. Never more than 2 years between releases. So literally back-to-back filming schedules for this man. But unfortunately, the third film, in trying to recapture some of the grittiness of GoldenEye, I think massively missed the boat. We are, of course, talking about now The World Is Not Enough in 1999 that came out.
Yeah.
It's one of the most forgettable films because I genuinely can't remember very much about it apart from pipelines, a bloke with a bullet in his head, and that it was Robert Carlyle.
Yeah.
I think.
So I prefer this one to Tomorrow Never Dies, but not by much.
I can safely say it still gets worse.
I mean, it's actually, I think Tomorrow Never Dies is a better film. The plot is kind of good, but it's like there are some really good bits in this, and then it just drops away, and you're like, oh, it's so cringe. It is so cringe. It's even more cringe than Tomorrow. It's like it's trying to do the grittiness, but then brings in the camp of Roger Moore, and you're like, no, it just doesn't work. And yeah, you'd hope that Reynard would be a better character because it's Robert Carlyle and the whole backstory to it.
And he'd just come off Begbie at this point as well, hadn't he?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And then it's a cardboard character. Like they give him a good.
Also, you have Robert Carlyle and Robbie Coltrane in a room again, like that episode of Cracker, what everyone loves.
Cracker. Yeah, see, that's the thing. Like, they brought back some like greatest hits. I think, like I say, it feels like a bit hammy. Look, I'm not going to say it's the worst Brosnan film, but it's definitely not the best.
I genuinely
Really?
do prefer this to Tomorrow Never Dies. So there's some pretty good stuff in here. So the concept of a villain as like this guy that's had that he can't feel anything. That's a great hook. That's a good concept for a creepy, physically weird Bond villain, which apparently they all have to be.
I won't hear that it's hammy though, Tom. Just because it's got a character whose name is literally Christmas, so they can get a cheap joke in at the end.
Two cheap jokes.
Yeah.
He said, I've always wanted to have Christmas in Turkey.
Yeah.
If that wasn't bad enough, you have the line at the end.
I thought Christmas only.
So this is the one that introduces John Cleese as Q's replacement, who's not good.
No.
What was his letter?
R.
But so you do have the opening bit on the Thames with the boat. That is top-notch Bond.
That was, yeah.
You know, the MI6 building exploding, him firing out in that little jet boat thing, chasing that assassin down to the Millennium Dome, which was super cool back then.
My God, yeah. Like, we've got to get the Millennium Dome in. Why? Because it's a British film, damn it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's just about to open, and we've got to get bums on seats.
But that boat chase is pretty awesome. It's got a good ski bit where there's those parasailing skidoo things that come down. That's pretty cool. And he has the jacket that goes and turns him into a giant golf ball. Sophie Marceau I really like in this.
She's great.
And she's an interesting version of the sort of the femme fatale Bond girls, in that so she's kind of she's sort of portrayed as a victim to start with, until it becomes clear that no, she's just a bastard and is
total bastard,
completely evil. And there's that quite effective moment where Bond is forced to basically just shoot her in cold blood at point blank range. That's a pretty intense moment by the standards of Bond films.
Yeah, and also the way he finishes off Renard, and actually Renard, Robert Carlyle's character, actually looks like it's a sweet release.
Yeah, you kind of have a bit more sympathy for him than you do for her. She was actually the driving force behind everything. Yeah, and she's just she's just twisted. He gets sort of impaled with a nuclear cooling rod through the chest, doesn't he, or something?
It's the plutonium rod.
That's it. Yeah, nice.
Well remembered. Listen, I think we need to move on because we're getting short of time here. So shall we rank this mother?
Let's do it.
If I just give you it's a very quick list of vehicles. The DB5 is there for a blink and you'll miss it cameo.
Oh my God, yeah, that's bollocks.
At the end with the thermal imaging.
Yeah.
Then you've got the BMW Z8, which is the MI6 vehicle. You've got the VAZ 2121, and you've got a Rolls-Royce Silver Shadow, and that's it.
Yeah, it's not a very vehicle-y one, really, is it?
Oh, you got the jet ski and stuff, yeah. And the boats and things like that.
And we do have bagpipe flamethrower as well.
Yeah,
which
true.
is quite cool.
So gadgets, it's getting a 2 from me. Quite light on the ground.
Explosive eyeglasses, X-ray eyeglasses.
Is this not? Is it? No, it's what's the one where Q smacks him on the hand and goes, "Don't touch that.
That's my lunch.
That's my lunch."
That's Goldeneye.
That's Goldeneye, isn't it? Yeah, Goldeneye's definitely a 10.
Yeah. So it's a 2 from me for gadgets.
Yeah.
Gadgets. I gave this one 3. I like the natty inflatable jacket and the jet boat.
I'm giving it a 4. Actually, the gadgets. It has Stinger missiles that get used. It also is a remote control car, so he drives it round to pick him up. It does get cut in half, which is pretty cool.
Yeah,
it has got the helicopter with the immensely crazy tree trimming thing.
Yeah, which that there are more practical ways to trim hedges.
Yeah, really are. No, I'm giving it a 4. I like the gadgets.
That row of trees must have so many gaps in it. Oh, yeah, well, one of the helicopters crashed there. It happens 2 or 3 times a year. But we still reckon this is the best way of trimming these trees.
So, what are you giving it for gadgets, Russ? 2?
3.
3. Tom?
2.
2. I'm going to go 3. I'm going to go 2. And you're giving it 4.
Yeah, I love the gadgets in this.
Okay, so that's 11 for gadgets. For names, I'm giving it 1.
Yeah, for names, it's boring as hell.
Yeah,
Electra.
1. And it gets actually deducted points for Christmas Jones.
Yeah, it's awful.
Yeah, I was going to go a bit. I quite like Renard and Electra King, but yeah, Christmas Jones brings it back down to 2 for me.
Yeah.
Same 2.
Oh, bloody hell, that's low. Hang on. 11. So 1. So, oh, good lord. Okay. Villain, quite cool.
Yeah,
So,
I'm going
cool.
4
3.
between Renard and Electric King. I think
Yeah.
they're actually pretty good, and there's some fresh ideas in there.
I'm going 3. But yeah.
It's a 4 for me.
All right.
4, because Electra is a right evil.
Okay.
I just quite like the bait and switch. You think it's Renard, but it's her.
Yeah.
You know, yeah.
You know what? You guys have convinced me. I'm giving it an extra point. How about the theme song?
Well, it's inspired an entire series of jokes on this podcast. So I think for me, it's actually the one area that it gets scored quite highly. So it's going to
Really?
it's going to get a 4 for me.
Oh, it's getting a 1 from me. I think it's fucking awful.
No, I love
The
it.
world is not enough.
I'm giving
No,
it
it's
4, but I just
world is
absolutely love
not
garbage.
enough. I do as well, but this is actual garbage.
No, I really
It's
like.
4.
I do quite like the song.
I'm giving it a 3.
3, 4. What do you give it, Russ?
4.
4. You guys mark.
I've
rating
always loved
accordingly.
Shirley Manson.
Oh, that doesn't make any difference. Like
Yes,
the
it
first
does.
No, it doesn't. The first. I love Sheryl Crow, and I gave it 1.
Yeah, but that's because that was a bad theme. This
So
isn't
this-
a bad theme.
No, I don't think this is a bad theme at all. I really like it.
I blacked out with rage. I forgot your scores. Can you give me give me them back?
3.
It's a 4.
3. Okay, 7.
So
Russ.
angry, I puked out of my eye.
Yeah.
Russ.
4.
4. Okay, cool. I can
If we tell you
remember
your
this, though.
the scores again, though, you're just going to get so angry you forget them again.
Who are you?
So overall, how do we
yeah.
feel?
Oh, it's dog shit. It's fucking awful. It's getting a 2 from me.
Well, the film is that bad.
I hate it.
I mean, that's fair, but I think you are being exceptionally harsh. I'm giving it 5.
Yeah, it's getting a 5 from me, right middling.
It's 5, even though it's really cringe. Doesn't hold up now.
You guys.
Yeah, I think you're right there. It doesn't. I mean, maybe at the time it probably was quite compelling, but yeah, I think that as the passage of time has flowed by, I think it's definitely not an easy film to judge these days. And that was like the least interesting
what's
thing
not
any
enough?
man could have said.
Do you know what's not enough? This film's not enough. That's what's not enough.
This film is not
Not
enough.
Okay, then. I'll put down to the supercomputer.
Okay, so we are rattling through this.
Well, we don't really need to spend any time on the next one.
No,
No,
this-
I think we
this one-
do.
This one, well, I mean, we've still got 4 pretty decent films to go after this, so we better sort of cover it.
Can I just interrupt quickly? Dan, it's not your internet. Oh, yeah, there you go. Russ has already written that, so I'll shut up.
Yeah, I mean, if we say something to him, it's going to be 10 minutes before he hears it anyway.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, Die Another Day. Fuck me, this is an awful film.
So this came 3 years later. So obviously they spent a bit of time on it, which is ironic considering how rushed the film feels.
This is meant to be the gritty, realistic one as well, because he gets captured at the start of the film
And that's
and like
the,
tortured.
that's the worst part of it.
Yeah, and it's the only like intro sequence where the intro sequence is him being tortured, isn't it?
That's what I mean. It's
Yeah.
one of the worst
Yeah,
parts.
so the
because actually-
pre-credits bit is the sort of the prisoner swap in North Korea.
Yeah.
That is good. Like the fight on the hovercrafts. What's the plural of hovercraft? Hovercraft.
Hovercraft. Yeah.
That's excellent.
Gosling.
Also, the idea of Bond finally being captured and subjected to what turns out to be 14 months of deprivation, torture, starvation,
And he's
repeated
just
stings.
Left there by
They leave
by
him.
yeah. They
So
just
like,
yeah.
basically, right up to when the music starts, this is a cracking film. Everything
remember
after that
seeing
point
this-
is not very good.
I remember sitting in the cinema going, I like this. This is going to be great.
CGI
There's no way they can fuck this one up.
The CGI in the hovercraft, and I
Yeah.
love that. It was great. The fact that he gets captured, I was like, yeah, I like that twist. That is meant to be, because this is the 40th anniversary one.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's meant to pay homage. Instead, it kind of just feels like a bunch of Bond cliches. It tries to pay homage, but it doesn't really pay homage.
I think you're absolutely
Yeah.
right by saying it's,
Yeah.
it's a film full of cliches. I think it was also massively misjudged to let Madonna do the theme song, because the Die Another
Fucking
Day,
awful.
the Die Another Day theme song, actually with the imagery that it is accompanied by, which is Bond being tortured, and you know, it turned, like, you find out later on that through those 14 months they'd been repeatedly throwing him into a room full of scorpions and letting them sting him all over, and then giving him the antidote straight after, only to do it again hours later. You know, this fucking guy has suffered hard, but no one suffered more than us having to listen to fucking Die Another Day over and over again. It's just
It's like they were so pleased they'd got Madonna, they forgot to tell her to do an actual Bond theme.
Yeah.
I'm guessing.
Say,
Yeah.
this is a theme from there on in that people kind of forget to do an actual Bond theme.
Yeah, I agree. She must have had something in the contract that said she had to be in the film as well, and then
Definitely.
also in the worst fucking role they could possibly find to put her in it as well.
Oh, she's the
What
fucking
was she?
fencing
The
instructor,
fencing
isn't
instructor, that's it.
Charity or something. No. Is it
It's,
Charity? No.
it is.
she? Yeah.
Oh god. It's
So
And then we
so
have-
after this brilliant bit, there's the prisoner swap bit. That's after the music, isn't it? That's actually quite good.
yeah,
Because Bond doesn't escape or charm his way out of the situation.
yeah,
It's that MI6 have to trade him back, and the cost, you know, even as he's being traded, he thinks that the cost is too high in what MI6 are giving up to get him back. But the reason they did it is because they're worried that he was hemorrhaging information, I think is the term they used. But then he sort of, they're on that boat out in Hong Kong Bay. He sort of hypnotizes himself into faking a cardiac arrest somehow, and then like charms the doctor woman into not raising the alarm by giving her a small smile. Swims miles to shore, and then walks straight into a 5-star suite at the Hong Kong Yacht Club. It's all complete bollocks.
we haven't even got to the fucking ice palace yet.
They haven't even got to the giant mirror in space yet.
No.
In space.
The exoskeleton. The fact that the other thing is, like, Triple X came out not long before, and it's blatantly being influenced by that. You're like, no, and the Matrix, all the slow mo. It's just like, oh, you've not done a Bond film. You've tried to be either the Matrix or Triple X, and you've just got a tubby Brosnan.
Yeah, this is when they had that speed ramping filmmaking technique was sort of new. So you sort of you could vary the frame rate of the cameras while it was filming, which is what gives you that bit where it's going at normal speed and then which is so overused in this. Like every action scene has bits where it speeds up and slows down, and it's really jarring.
And then there's the surf bit at the
Oh,
god,
fuck me.
Like, oh,
Yeah,
that
just the meetings they're in with the visual effects team. So we're going to do this in broad day. You're confident you can make realistic looking water simulations, which is still to this day just about the hardest thing you can do with VFX is truly realistic looking water.
talks about it on how your PCs can cope, and you know, it's a marvel that games can now do.
It's the first thing I always look at.
But they can't. Like if you would not for a second think that they were real, and
But
like
there's
trying to do
still
anything
yeah.
dynamic with it, like waves in broad daylight, with it interacting with a real physical filmed element, like James Bond on his fucking rocket car sledge surfboard.
Stupid.
Like today, that would be a very challenging shot to make look realistic and not like the physics of it to get it to work. It would, even if you made it look as perfect as possible, he's still just going whoop. It's so fucking stupid. It